Hi everyone, it's me Gaming 2, and welcome to tier list number 12A. Yes guys, today we are going to be doing another round of 2 tier lists, and today we are going to be starting with a geography related video, because it's been a while since I've done something related to geography that's not related to GeoGuessr. So, in this tier list, we are going to go over countries in the world that I'd love to visit someday. Um, I did not put the United States or Canada on here because I live in the United States and I've already visited Canada. So, they disqualify from this list. These are just countries that I put on a list and I will put them on a ranking depending on how much I want to visit them. So for here we have Dream Vacation, which is the top tier, like, oh, I dream to go there. Love to visit is a place that I would love to visit, but it wouldn't be in the top tier for me for wanting to visit. Sure, I'd go as somewhere I would go if somebody asked me, do you want to go? But it wouldn't quite be like I'm jumping up and down to go there. Maybe later is a place that I really don't have much desire to go to now, but if it's got its problems and they're starting to improve, maybe I will change my mind on that. And no thanks, which is countries I just don't want to visit, period. And there won't be too many on that last list. So that's pretty good news for you guys. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started with Germany. Germany is going to go, I think, at the top of love to visit. Germany is an awesome country with a really good GDP, pretty much the best GDP in Europe and stuff like that. Their cities are really cool. The only reason I wouldn't put it quite in Dream Vacation is because I hear that they kind of have a bit of a hard shell, the German people. It's not like they're mean or anything, but they're like very hard shelled and stuff like that, and it might be kind of hard to listen. I'm not super into carrying conversations with random strangers either, but like a hi and have a nice day. They probably at least say that and stuff like that, but um and also I hear a lot of stuff about they have kind of strict rules and stuff like that, and they like to really follow their rules, which sometimes in America, it's the polar opposite, where people break the frickin' rules all the time. So, it would be a nice change of pace, but it might be a little bit of a pain in the butt at first. Because you don't know the rules and you get lectured over it. I don't know. It just seems like a very rule-based place, and it would be a little bit hard to get used to. But other than that, amazing castles, beautiful landscapes, especially in southern Germany. Great cities. I would love to go to Germany. Norway, I will also put in love to visit. It is a bit cold. In fact, it's one of the coldest countries in the world. But all the Nordic countries have really good ratings and stuff like that. They're very safe. They're very high quality of life and stuff like that. Very good at quality. I don't know as much about Norway as some of the other countries on this list, admittedly, but it is a country that I would love to visit. There's beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. The food doesn't really pique my interest that much, if I'm being brutally honest, but I'm sure if I tried something really authentic from there, I'd like it. So yeah, Spain. Spain I'm going to put in Dream Vacation. I mean, what else can I say? Amazing history, fantastic old architecture, They got really neat churches. Um, some of the most beautiful beaches you'll ever see on the planet. And it just seems like a really fun place to go to. So, if I had to pick a European country to go to, I think Spain would be in the top 5 for sure. It just seems like such a fun place to go to. Switzerland. I'm going to put it in love to visit. The only reason I won't put it in dream vacation is because it is the most expensive country on the entire planet. So, you probably got to pay a pretty penny to have a pretty damn good vacation there. But, I mean, you can't complain. Beautiful mountains, awesome food like chocolate and fondue, extremely high quality of life, extreme safety, excellent public transportation. Switzerland is a country that, if it wasn't for its expenses, I would put in dream vacation by far. But it is a very expensive country to go to. Portugal. Portugal, to me, is... I'm on the cusp of love to visit or dream vacation. I think I will put it in dream vacation. A lot of it reminds me a lot of what Spain has to offer. I'd rather go to Spain by a little tiny bit, as I'm a little more familiar for what I've read about Spain, but I get very similar vibes in Portugal, so I would love to visit there. It would absolutely be a dream vacation of mine. So would Barbados. This one's a little out of left field because this is the only Caribbean country on the list. Barbados is probably the most beautiful beaches on the entire Caribbean, in my opinion. It's just, it would be my absolute dream beach vacation for sure. No country in the world, I think, has better beaches than... There are some that get close, but the beaches I've seen, the absolute best, in my opinion, is Barbados. Costa Rica is next. Wow, we haven't gone below love to visit so far. It just proves how much I want to travel around the world and stuff like that. And Costa Rica is no exception. You know what? I'm going to put it in dream vacation. I don't think a lot of people know how beautiful Costa Rica is. It's the Latin American country I want to visit the absolute most. It's pretty small, but for how small it is, it packs a huge amount of stuff I like. Like amazing wildlife, especially, but also beautiful views, excellent beaches, really friendly people. Out of all the Latin American countries, by far the one I want to visit the most is Costa Rica. It just gives me super good vibes there. So I will put it on dream vacation. Ireland. I'm going to put over Germany at the top of love to visit. Or am I going to put it in dream vacation? No, I'm going to put it in dream vacation. I have a lot of Irish ancestry in me. I'm not going to be that pretentious person who says, oh, I'm totally Irish or something like that. Listen, I wasn't born in Ireland or anything, but my great-great-grandfather was. So I have a lot of Irish blood in me. And, yeah. But anyways, I mean, some of the most beautiful cliffside views in the world. It has some of the friendliest people in Europe. Really good beer. Really neat old architecture, especially the Blarney Stone. And it's just a place I'd love to visit. New Zealand. Holy crow. We haven't come across a country below love to visit. And Dream Vacation is overtaking love to visit. Dream Vacation is. I'm surprised how many I've put on here so far, and we got a lot left. New Zealand is freaking gorgeous. I will just tell you that now. And it has one of the best quality of life in the world. It's extremely safe. They have the freaking kiwi bird there. What else could I say? I can't complain about wanting to visit. I will put it in between Barbados and Costa Rica. I would absolutely love to visit New Zealand. Okay, finally, we have a country I don't really want to visit. In fact, no thanks is where I will put North Korea. If you know anything about geography and stuff like that, you know that North Korea is run pretty much by a dictatorship, an extreme dictatorship that if you don't listen to their extreme rules, you either get put in a camp or put to death. And does that sound like a fun time to me? No, it does not. It does have some pretty nice views and landscapes, actually. And, it does fascinate me what goes on there. But it is not a place. I can't go there. I'm an American and we're completely banned from the country. But even if I could, I wouldn't because there's just too much frickin' risk. South Africa. Beautiful country, but I'm going to put it in maybe later for now. Listen, South Africa, some of the best wildlife in the world, very beautiful views, especially near Cape Town and stuff like that. However, they have one of the highest murder rates in the world. And that is not exactly a place I'd like to go to. Coming from an American where we have a higher murder rate than a lot of first world countries, America is 10 times safer than South Africa. Like, you go down the wrong place in South Africa, that's pretty much it for you. And that can certainly happen in America too, but it's just insane what happens in South Africa. I really wish it was different because if it was safer, I would probably put it in Dream Vacation. But I have to put it in maybe later because the crime problem is just insane there. South Korea. South Korea, I don't know. To me, I would like to go and visit there one day, but in my opinion, it's not quite a country I'd like to visit as much as, say, some of the other countries and even some of the other Asian countries on this list. It does have one of the highest qualities of life in Asia, definitely, but I kind of feel like it feels a little too similar to Japan, in my opinion. And I'm sure it has I'd love to go there to try the Korean barbecue authentically and stuff like that, but I am putting it in sure I'd go. I would go if somebody offered me to, but it doesn't quite pique my interest as some of the other countries on this list. So I'm going to put South Korea in sure I'd go. Tanzania. I'm going to put Tanzania in love to visit. Absolutely would. I will put it over Norway, actually. This is pretty much the peak country for African safaris. You can see all of the big five relatively easily here. You have the Serengeti, you have Mount Kilimanjaro. Um, and you also have Zanzibar, which is a beautiful little island and stuff like that. It's freaking awesome. I won't put it in Dream Vacation because I guess you could say I think there's a pretty high risk for malaria here, and that is very dangerous. And I know that sounds a little bit weird because it's not something I'm going to bring up in the rest of the countries on this list, but I heard countries outside of like South Africa and some of the others in the more southern part of Africa and like the North African countries, pretty much the center of Africa has a pretty high malaria risk. But other than that, this is an awesome place that I'd love to visit. Egypt. Well, Egypt. You talked to me a few years ago, I would have put this on Dream Vacation. But two things have kind of turned me off of Egypt a little bit. Number one is that they are extremely strict with pictures and stuff like that, and it honestly seems like a pretty corrupt place in that aspect. And the other thing, which is just a little more recent, they are freaking renovating the pyramids of Giza to put like marble on it and stuff. What are you doing? Like, what the heck is wrong with you? You're basically freaking, you're renovating one of the most ancient artifacts on the entire planet. I'm sorry, I find it stupid. Why the hell would you do that? That's like, I can't even put into words how stupid I find. I'm sorry, are they just doing it to one pyramid, or are they doing it to all? Are they doing it to the Great Pyramid? I don't. That just really turns me off. But still, I'd like to visit the culture and stuff like that. I'd like to see the Sphinx and stuff like that. So sure, I'd go, but there are some decisions that they've been making that just, and it's very hard to take pictures there. I can't put it in Love to Visit or Dream Vacation anymore. France. Now there is a dream vacation. I'm going to put it at the top so far. France is just, to me, it has everything I'd want for a vacation. It has nice beaches in the south. It has amazing history. Top 3 for history in the world, in my opinion. Amazing food. Great cities. I don't think French people are as arrogant as people say they are. Parisians can be, but like, I think French people get a little bit of a bad rep, and it's a country that I'd just love to experience the culture. I would learn some French before I go there, at least to have half decent French and stuff like that, so it is one of my dream vacations, and it's definitely in my top 3. India. India, to me, listen, I would like to go to India. It has some of the best Hindu temples in the world that are super cool looking. India, in my opinion, has the best cuisine on the entire planet. Immaculate food. Pretty friendly people and stuff like that who want to share their culture. However, one thing that I just cannot stand is crowds. And India is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. So, would there be crowds in India? I am sure it would be insane. I'm sure there's parts of the country that don't have much crowded areas, but I'd say that would be almost impossible to get to without having to go to Delhi or something in the airport to get to those areas with not a lot of people. So, yeah, I do not like crowds very much, and it's just a fear of mine. I get very nervous around crowds and stuff like that. So, it just strikes me I'd be very uncomfortable and wouldn't enjoy my vacation as much. So, I would love to see the Taj Mahal and the old Hindu temples and stuff like that, but with all the crowds, I wouldn't be my number one choice for a vacation, so I respect the hell out of India, but it's too crowded for my liking. Italy. I'm gonna put it at number 2 for now. It is a dream vacation of mine. What else can I say? Um, it's got beautiful old architecture. Probably some of the best, period. In fact, it probably is the best country for old architecture, in my opinion. Um, Amazing history. The second best food in the world, in my opinion, behind Indian food. Um, what's been said about Italy before, how it's a dream vacation, it is an absolute dream vacation of mine, and I would go there in a heartbeat if I could. Japan. Japan, too. Absolutely. I'm going to put it above. I'm going to put it at number 4 for now. Japan is just such a freaking cool country with some of the most futuristic stuff you'll ever see, like robots serving you in cafes and really advanced toilets and stuff like that. I am a massive fan of video games, and seeing pretty much where that all began would be freaking amazing. Japanese food is definitely in the top 6 or 7 cuisines for me, so I'd love to eat the food. Japan would absolutely be a dream vacation for me, and is the country in Asia I'd like to visit the most. Mexico! Mexico, I'm going to put in love to visit. I'm going to put it in between Tanzania and Switzerland. Does Mexico have a little bit of a crime problem? Yes, it does. But I think overall the positives do outweigh the negatives, as there are actually some very safe areas of the country and stuff like that. And Mexico has one of the best cultures in the entire world, in my opinion. They have what's, in my opinion, probably the third best cuisine in the world behind Italian and Indian. They have, in my opinion, what's the best history in North America. I'm sorry, United States and Canada, but the old buildings you see in Mexico go back probably close to tens of thousands of years ago, and it's really freaking fascinating. Like the old temples, especially down in southern Mexico, they are so freaking fascinating. Like I said, its crime isn't exactly the greatest thing in the world, especially in certain parts, but I think the parts a lot of people want to go to, including myself, aren't really that crime-ridden at all, so I'm gonna put Mexico in love to visit, because I would. Peru. Peru I'm also gonna put in love to visit. I'll put it at the bottom Machu Picchu is there, and that's one of the most fascinating places in the entire world, in my opinion. Um, I'd love to see the Andes Mountains. They're some of the most beautiful mountains I've ever seen. Really neat culture. I tried Peruvian food once. It was really freaking good. Um, it is a place I'd just love to visit. Um, Again, it's not exactly the safest country in the world, but I think it really depends on where you are there, and yeah, I would love to go to Peru. Romania is next, and my opinion, it's one of the most underrated countries in the entire world, especially for its history. It has some of the most fascinating history in the entire world, especially with Bran Castle, which is where Dracula's castle is basically. Um, really nice people. It has a pretty coastline on the Black Sea. You want to know the you want to see some freaking history in old buildings, though? I don't think you can get much better than Romania. Maybe the top three, in my opinion, have it slightly better, but Romania, to me, is just. I'd go there in a second if I was invited to. Russia, however, I wouldn't. I'm putting Russia in maybe later. It does have pretty fascinating history and stuff like that. Um, Moscow actually seems like a pretty cool city to visit, and so does St. Petersburg. But there is a war between them and Ukraine going on right now, and I'd rather not get stuck in the middle of it. Plus, I heard the police there are pretty brutal and stuff like that, so right now, until the war ends at least, I don't particularly have any interest in going there. And listen, I am not one of those Americans who just automatically hates Russia because our government hates them. I think the average Russian person is actually a very good person, but the government skews your opinion to basically think that you're supposed to hate a certain country because there are rivals and stuff like that. There shouldn't be any rivalries between countries. We have our differences, is all. And if there's a problem going on, we should just mind our own damn business, pretty much. And I ain't got no problem with the average Russian. The Russian government, isn't exactly that good in my opinion, but the average Russian person, I have absolutely not a single problem with. Next up is Rwanda. Rwanda is gonna go in. Love to visit. I. It's one of the cleanest countries in Africa. But especially it's the most common place on the planet to see gorillas, which is one of my favorite animals of all time. So, just to see the gorillas in their natural habitat would just be freaking fascinating to me. So, I'm going to put Rwanda and love to visit. Czech Republic is up next, and Czech Republic is going to go in Dream Vacation. I'm putting a lot of places in Dream Vacation. Well, there's a lot of places in the world I'd love to visit. Czech Republic is just such a freaking nice place, especially the city of Prague. Pretty much all of Europe has really fascinating old architecture and castles and stuff like that. And Czech Republic is no different. It has probably some of the most underrated foods in the world, in my opinion. And yeah, and especially with my family lineage, my grandfather is Czechoslovakian and brings back a lot of my family history there. So, Czech Republic is definitely a country I'd put in Dream Vacation. Turkey, I get a little bit of Egyptian vibes there, where it seems pretty strict to take not as strict, but you know what? You put me in Istanbul, I would love to visit Turkey. Because Istanbul is really cool because it's pretty much the gateway to Europe and Asia. And it's pretty much a transcontinental city, let alone a country. Which is super freaking neat. And it has some of the greatest architecture and food and stuff like that. But it is a bit strict to take pictures there from what I've heard and stuff like that. So not exactly going at the number one place. And I will put it in love to visit because I would love to visit Istanbul, but little too strict, it seems like, in my opinion. China. China is next. You know what? This is probably going to piss off some people, but I don't care. I'm putting it at the bottom of Dream Vacation. Listen, it's probably pretty hard for the average American to go here since there are, both of us don't exactly have the best opinion of each other and stuff like that, but I mean, China's up there with like France and Italy as one of the most historically significant countries in the world. It has some of the most, it has probably the best historical architecture outside of Europe, in my opinion. The food there is fantastic. The culture there is fantastic. It is just a country that I'd like to go all around and visit. Visit the Great Wall of China. Try to see some panda bears. Go see all the ancient temples and stuff like that. China is a country that I would absolutely adore to visit. It does seem to be in a government that kind of watches you like a hawk. But if you put that aside, I think it would be an amazing country to visit. Alright, we only have 4 more left. United Kingdom is next, and I'm going to put it just in the top 5, in my opinion. The United Kingdom is maybe, in terms of going there first, it would be number 1, since both countries, what am I trying to say? Just like here in America, our primary language, their primary language is English. So it'd probably be a little easier to communicate with people. And while I learn a little more French and Italian and Spanish and stuff like that, I'd maybe like to go to the UK first for language barrier purposes. But, I mean, you want to see all sorts of old architecture and really cool cities and stuff like that, and see the really neat British royalty and stuff like that. The UK is your answer. It's one of the most fascinating countries on the entire planet. London is one of the best cities in the entire planet. If I could go there right now and say, hey, let's go to London, I'd be like, I'm packing my bags right now. I'd love to go to the UK. And it definitely makes my top 5. Iceland. Iceland is going to just barely be in my top 5. I'm putting it at number 6. Iceland has some of the, pretty much the best quality of life in the entire world. It has some of the best natural scenery in the entire world with its hot springs and stuff like that. It doesn't have the best food in the world, but hey, neither does the UK. But, yeah, Iceland is just it's a dream vacation. You can see, like on the cover of my book, there's these glaciers that are there that if I saw them, I would be probably tearing up by how beautiful they are. Iceland is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and I'd love to visit it. Two more. We have Thailand next, which I'm going to put in dream vacation, probably slightly below China. Thailand is one of the most fascinating Asian countries, in my opinion. They have a really cool cuisine, a really cool market culture, it seems like. Bangkok is one of the coolest cities I've ever seen, and I would just be fascinated going there. I'd love to go to Thailand. And last but not least for this list, we have the land down under, Australia. And I'm going to put Australia actually at number 6. Since I was a child, I've wanted to visit Australia. To see the kangaroos, to visit Sydney, which is one of the most fascinating cities in the entire world. Australia, its peak, in my opinion, nowadays are its beaches, which probably behind Barbados are the best in the entire world. But it is big, and I realize that it's a lot more dense. It's a lot less densely populated than I thought it was. Like, a majority of the country lives in the big cities, and a lot of the country's area is just completely empty. And the outback, which I wanted to visit until I realized how freaking rural it is, and if you're screwed there, you're pretty much screwed. So, but Australia is a country that I'd absolutely love to visit, and I would visit there in a heartbeat if I got offered to. And there's your list, guys. I hope you guys like this video. This is a list of all the countries in the world I'd love to visit. And, well, I'll see you in part 12B in the next video, and that's about it. Gaming2 here. See you later. Bye.